Today I'm going to show you how to make a cute summertime watermelon sign. So you're going to start out with just a block of wood. Mine's not very big. I didn't even measure mine this time. Let's see, mine measures approximately a little over 5 inches by about 2.5. So it's not a very big sign. Yours can be whatever size you choose to make it. It does not have to be the same as mine. But what you're going to do with your block of wood, the first thing you want to do is paint it. So I chose to use white. I'm going to paint the background of mine white. So I'm just going to fill my cap just a little bit with some white paint. And I'm going to use a flat head brush. And I'm just going to cover the background of my sign with white. Okay, if you have a dark piece of wood, it may take a couple of coats. I know mine is pretty light, so it shall probably cover pretty easy. But like I said, you may have to use 2 coats if you have a darker piece of wood. This is one of the other ones that I had pulled out, and I know it's a little bit darker. So it would probably take 2 coats on that. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly brush on a layer of white in the background. Once I get the top covered, I want to make sure that I also go around the edges with that white, just to give it a nice clean look. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish my background, and then I'll tell you the next step. Once you've finished painting your background white, your next step is going to be to use a pencil, and you're going to pencil on your lettering. We're going to have our sign say 1 in a melon instead of 1 in a million. I have already penciled mine on. I know it's kind of hard to see from there, so I'm just going to raise it up to the camera so you can see my pencil lines. Like I said, it says 1 in a melon. So my next step is going to be to draw a watermelon on the side. I want my watermelon to be a half circle shape. So what I did is I just found something circular that I can trace half of. So I'm going to lay that on the side of my sign, just like this. Okay, I just want to make sure that you can see where that's at with that glare. Okay, so I am going to lay that here. And then I'm just going to trace half of that circular shape. So I've got it lined up where I want it. I'm going to start down here. Let's see. Let's slide it down just a bit. Okay, so I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm just going to curve my pencil line around towards the top so that I have about a half circle. Then, I'll hold that up so you can see. Okay, so I have kind of a moon shape, or about a half circle. So then I'm going to use my ruler to draw a line from one end of that watermelon slice to the other. But I want my watermelon to have a little bite taken out of it. So over here on this side, I'm just going to draw a line. Then I'm going to dip down with some curves so it looks like there's a little bite taken out of the slice. And then draw my line to connect to the other side of that moon. And once again, I'm going to hold that up so you can get a better image of what that looks like. Okay? So the next step is pretty simple. Some of you are probably afraid that I'm going to make you paint all of that lettering, but actually it's going to be much easier than that. If you have paint pens like this one, you can use a paint pen, but I'm simply just going to use the supplies that I have available, and that is Sharpies. So if you have markers available, that's great. If you have Sharpies, you can do the same with those as well. So for my sign, I'm going to start with my green Sharpie, and for the word 1, I'm going to do that word in green. And I'm just tracing right over the pencil lines that I had. If you want it a little bit bolder, you can just kind of make your, go back and do a second line beside it to thicken up those lines. So I'm working on the word 1. I'm just going right over the top of the pencil lines that I drew earlier. And then the next words I'm going to do are N-A, and I'm going to do that in black. Okay, and then melon is going to be my last word, and I'm going to do that one with red. So I've got a red Sharpie here for melon, and I'm just going to trace right over those pencil lines. My pencil lines are showing through my red slightly, so I am going to take my eraser. I know you guys won't see this much on the screen, but I just want to lightly erase those pencil lines since it's going to show through my red Sharpie. So like I said, I'm just going over it, erasing them enough that they don't show through the marker, but enough that I can still see them to do the tracing. Okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and finish these letters with my red Sharpie. Once all your letters are traced with your Sharpie, then you're ready to move on to the watermelon part. So for the watermelon part, you can use your Sharpie if you choose to, but I'm actually going to go ahead and use my paint. Okay, so I'm going to start out with some green paint. I'm just using what I have at home. I didn't go out and buy anything new. So you'll see that mine says Yard and Garden paint. That's okay. I'm going to use it even though my piece is going to be an indoor piece. So I'm just going to get a little bit of green on my brush, and I'm going to turn this just a little bit so it's at an easier angle for me to paint. I'm just going to get a little bit of green on the tip of my brush. I do have a small fine tip brush, and I'm going to go right around the outside edge where the rind of my watermelon is. So this is going to go right along that half circle shape that we traced earlier. Just a little much there. Let me wipe some of that off. Okay, so I have my green edge for my rind along the bottom side of my watermelon. My next step is going to be to do the red part. I don't even have to wait for my green to dry because I'm going to leave a little bit of white space in between the watermelon rind, the green part, and the fruit that we eat in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and get a clean brush. I'm going to turn it this way this time so I don't stick my hand in wet paint. And this time I'm using red paint, and I'm just going to leave a little bit of space of white in between where the green rind is and where I start the red part. And I'm just going along with the shape of that half circle that we traced earlier. Then I'm going to come on the straight edge that we did with our ruler, and I'm just going to come right along that side here where my bite mark goes, just like that, and then another straight line across to the other side of that half circle to close it off. Now, once I get that shape all outlined, then I'm ready to start using my brush to fill it in. All right, once my watermelon is all filled in with the red, my next step is just to wait a few minutes for that red to dry, and then we'll come back and add some seeds with our Sharpie. After I've painted in the red part of my watermelon, I want to let it dry before I add the seeds. For the seeds, you can do a couple of different things. You could use a Sharpie and you could draw your seeds onto your watermelon, or you could use black paint and do your seeds by using the end of the paintbrush. So I'm just going to show you how I'm going to add the seeds using paint. I'm not using the brush side. I'm actually using the other end without a brush. So I'm going to dip it in my paint, and then I'm just going to dot it and drag. So I'm going to dot and drag. Whoops. And dot and drag. And then dot and drag. I'm just kind of dragging towards the center. And then one here. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And that gives my watermelon sign the seeds that it needs. Okay. So after I get my seeds on, the last finishing touch I'm going to add to mine, this is an optional step, not anything that you have to do, but I thought it might look cute to put a little ribbon on the side. I happen to have some ribbon, so I tied it in a bow. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the back side of that. Won't take a whole lot. And then I'm going to stick that right in the corner of my sign. And there is my one in a melon sign. Okay. I do have one other rendition of this sign to show you today. So that one was my one in a melon. And then this one was one that I did that just says 5 cents per slice. I did this one kind of in a different format where it's longer and taller instead of long, I guess. Triangle for the watermelon slice. Just make sure that whatever lettering you choose to do, that you do it in pencil first before you go over it with paint or paint pen or Sharpie. Okay? Have fun creating. Thanks for watching.